Hello, it's Mazzy. Welcome back. The obligatory review presentation of a Rhino high fidelity release. This time it is the second album from 1970 of Paranoid. Actually, technically, this is from January 1971 because although it was released in September of 70 in the UK, Paranoid, it was released in the US in January of 1971. This is the Kevin Gray cut, all analog from the original master tapes, the American tape. I assume that's like a copy of the British, but that's the way it came out back in the day on all the Greenie, the Warner Brothers stuff. The usual pressed at optimal, limited to 5,000 numbered editions, which means probably, we don't know for sure, but most likely it'll be available again sooner than later, hopefully. We'll see. And an unnumbered edition. Do you need a number? I am number 828, if you care about those things, right there. I don't really care about numbers. I did pay for this one. This was not a promo. People want to know that because they, there's always like about 3 wankers that say, you're telling us something about the record, but you got it free, so doesn't count. Well, that's bullshit. But anyway, I want to talk about this record. I think the first one is probably my favorite. This is the second album, again, they released in 1970, of course, 71 years, I just said. Paranoid. Appropriate for the world we live in 2025, as I'm showcasing this record. I am going to do a little comparison because I did listen to it, but I don't have originals. And my original records, my greenies that I used to have in the 95 Purge went away. Never had Vertigos of any of the Black Sabbath, so that doesn't count. So seek other people, other reviews, other channels if you want it compared to the Vertigo, the UK Vertigo or the American Greenie. I am going to do a little shout out in response to some of my friends over on the Hoffman forums, because I can't comment there. So if someone in the Hoffman forums is watching who is all over the Rhino High Fidelity thread, I'm still banned from that one thread. I deserved it, but come on, let me back in. I'm yelling to you. I feel like in space, no one can hear you scream. And I want to respond sometimes in that thread. But anyway, that's another story for another day. But they've been asking questions. Obviously, people have gotten this over the last couple of days. So here is my 2006 Rhino Kevin Gray cut. So it's Kevin in this corner, Kevin 2006 in this corner. Had a different rig, different cables and everything. So it's bound to be different, is it? It is. It's very different. The unfortunate side of the one, and this is a nice sounding record. It's an all analog record, the 2006, so it's no slouch. The bad news, it was pressed at Rhino, that kind of like doesn't exist anymore, that record pressing plant in Southern California. The ones who botched the stereo Beatles record, not just the mastering, but they loads of problems, and they're gone. They're out of here. And there's noise on this. Of course, you only hear it between tracks and the soft passages, like on Planet Caravan, which I love. I wish, I'll get to that in a second, but I wish Sabbath did a whole record of that kind of jazzy, kind of kumbaya-esque. It would have been kumbaya-esque for them. So the Obi, the Rhino, and a beautiful package. It does have the insert with the tape boxes from the Trident Studio box tape. I assume this is copy from that came to America, but this is the one on all the greenies and the subsequent palm labels that were here. There is a interview, a conversation with Hugh Gilmore, who was the original. Well, actually, he spoke with Tom Allom about this album because Tom Allom was the original engineer back in the day. I believe they worked on this at Island. And in this interview, he says the band was not in the studio. They weren't around. They didn't deal with the mixing. So this whole artist's intent, a lot of bands in those days especially didn't hang out for all the mixing of these records. And apparently in this one, they didn't. The basic tracks recorded in 2 days and overdubs and things. And the overview is, the easy answer is, this is a killer sounding album, but so is this one. I believe this is fuller and tighter. And again, like the first one, the tightness and the cohesiveness between the bass playing and the drumming is, to me, the rhythm section is what really kind of tightens it up. Of course, when the guitar comes in, it bursts, and I love that. This is an intense album at times, but there's a lot of dynamics in it, and I love that. And I'm not one to get into all the great audio lingo of the nose and like I'm like a wine reviewer of these two records. Now that I have this record, I really don't need this record. But if you have this one, it's no slouch. But there's something about this that just has a better feel to it. There is, without getting all 1970 and 71 about good vibes, no vibes on this record, but it's got a great feel to it. And it's more immediate than the last Kevin Gray for me, but it's not a world of difference. But it's a quieter pressing, definitely, and that makes some a load of difference, even though you don't hear anything with those loud, bombastic songs on here. When you hear the jazzy song again, Planet Caravan, and you get into the breaks between, it's nice to have really quiet, silent, optimal pressings here. And this is a really good one on that. Same gatefold. This, right? It was on a gatefold to begin with, and I love that. Now, to you Hoffman Forum people, the biggest question that came about, I wasn't able to answer it there. And I don't notice this kind of stuff. I'm not one that usually notices. I hate when people that are, the internet wrecked this kind of stuff for record lovers, music lovers. Did you know at 3 minutes 20 seconds there's a dropout, or 4 minutes there's something that happens, a squeaking chair? This was going back. Remember, those of you who are Beatle fans, I'm sure a lot of you are. Remember that dropout in the guitars at the bass, I guess, in Day Tripper? It's on every version until recently, but all the versions, I think, was it the CDs where they first fixed that? You hear like one little dropout. Okay, I knew that because I just heard it. But I don't need someone to point out at a certain time, because once that happens, if you hear it, even if they point it out, you can't unhear it. And you're listening for it. The whole idea of listening for a problem, or an aberration, I should say, in a record, to me is the silliest thing. That's wankerism at its finest. It's kind of like, 5 years ago when Black Fire, the Andrew Hill, came out with Warble Vision, Warble audio stuff. I'd never heard the Warble, and I even made a friggin' video with the music, and I still couldn't hear the Warble. And the Hoffmanites about that Warble gate in Tone Poets said it doesn't count because I had my microphone for my camera. I didn't do directly into the system, and I was recording it there so you wouldn't hear it. I still don't hear the Warble. I'm not saying it's not there. It does drive some people crazy with piano warble, but I don't hear it. So there. But this, they talked about some dropout on the opening track, War Pigs. What a great epic that is. I love that, with the war sirens coming in. Again, this is a topical record in a lot of ways too, where we are today in the world, and the whole feel of it. But it's a dark record, but it's also a pretty wonderfully recorded record, even though it was recorded at a time, 2 4-tracks hooked together, as I remember. I think he says that in the conversation here. But according to these people on the forums, there's some kind of dropout, a volume drop. I'd forgot about it. I just put both of these on. Interesting thing, before I arrived at this, where FedEx just tossed it on my porch, didn't even ring the doorbell, and my Ring automatic noise didn't go off because they didn't walk up the steps on my porch. They tossed it. FedEx used to be good, but screw that. Luckily, everything's in good shape. No aberrations at all. No dings, no dangs, no splits, no splots, nothing. But I listened to this this morning before I got the FedEx of the new one again. I hadn't heard it in a while. And I blasted. And I recall when I first put on War Pigs, usually my volume, 50 is really nice and loud, 52 on my Hagel H390 kicks. I rarely have to turn it up. Sometimes if I'm really kind of just want to rock it out, I might turn it up to 56 or 58. That's rare on my system. I don't have to, and it still sounds really nice. On this, I found I had to turn it up to 58 to 60 when War Pigs started, but it still sounded good. The snap of the drums, everything. I enjoyed it, but it was interesting thing happened. A third of the way in, the volume kicked up on this about 4 steps. So I had to bring it down to 56 or so to have it match that 60 on the first third. Now, that's not a dropout. So I don't know what you wankers on the Hoffman forum and other places are talking about. So please address that. I can't communicate with you there. So someone who's watching this, either post this video there to ask them the question and ask on my behalf, please. Mazzy asks, etc. There's no drop out. It's low when you start it, and then it kicks up. Now, that apparently, as my understanding goes, that is on all the copies up till now, or something, some kind of quote, what they call an aberration. So that kicks up, but then it stays loud the entire song. So there's no drop out. It's this level, and then it kicks high. The octane goes up, 4 notches, at least on my Hagel, but it still sounds good. So I'm not going to really talk much about this. This is a good sounding record. Again, all analog, 2006 Rhino, Kevin Gray. I believe you can still get this. But to me, if I'm starting over, when this comes out, wait and get the Rhino. It's that much better. It kicks up that much better, and it's loud, and the vocals aren't recessed, they're up there, but I just really love this. And so I listened to this on a War Pigs. It was kind of similar, but it wasn't as a dramatic volume, but it was lower, and then it kind of gets up. But for some reason, that rise in volume was not as dramatic as the 2006, at least not on my rig. And again, I wasn't listening for it. I love that. That's a great opener to a song. And of course, Paranoid, the hit single, that's the first song that really grabbed me into Black Sabbath. I mean, it's a great hook, a great single. Some bands at that time, it's one of those bittersweet things. They want a single to sell records, yet they don't want to be pegged where people just come and listen to a single and then they forget about you and go move on to something else, the next big single band. Because this was the time of albums, and the first album wasn't quite as big, but this really broke through. #1 single in the UK. I don't think it was #1 here, but it still did really well. I remember just hearing that song, and again, as much as I got into them, I wasn't always a massive Black Sabbath fan. They're not even my top 25 bands, but I do like them. After the 4th album, maybe, is when I kind of let go and I didn't follow. So there's a lot of other people who showcase this record and know a lot more than I do about it and know it better than I do. But I do love Paranoid. I think that's a kick-ass single. Now, it goes into Planet Caravan. That's the mellow, kind of jazzy with the bongos and the bass thing. And I friggin' love that song. As I said at the beginning here, I would have loved for Led Zeppelin. I would have loved for Black Sabbath to do an entire record of that type of music. Not that I have to have everything mellow, but I like that jazziness to it, that kind of beatnik thing to it. And it's beautifully recorded, and it's got a great dynamic sound. That's my favorite track on the album. And I know Black Sabbath fans are the fans that want loud rock and roll for the most part, so I'm probably in the minority there. But I think that is so beautiful on this album, far above 2006. Again, I can compare it to originals, American or UK or not. I just can't because I don't have it. But I really love that. Now, my live experience, I only saw Black Sabbath once. It was the spring of 1972. So is that between the 3rd and 4th record, I believe? And they were the headliners at Winterland. And I didn't even go to see Black Sabbath. The opening band was Wild Turkey, not to be confused with, well, Cold Turkey, slipping down the charts. Uh, and that's what the bass player who was in Jethro Tull, I believe, was in Wild Turkey. They were kind of boogie, bluesy stuff. I didn't love them. But the middle act was the band that I went to see, and that was Yes. And they were writing after Fragile, and I love Yes and Fragile. So the headliner, I didn't go see. That was Black Sabbath, and I liked them. I remember enjoying Yes more because I knew them better, and I liked that album. Fragile is my favorite Yes album, uh, their entire career, and they were great. After that, they when they went on a little later, a couple albums later, and they imploded big time when they did that boondoggle of Tales from the Topographic Ocean. What a load of crap that was. Bloated mess. I digress. But it's a great thing seeing all these great British bands on one night at Winterland. Loved it. 5,000 people the place holds. But they were really good. I remember just being loud, great. I mean, how can you not like that? And it's the kind of band I really enjoyed live for a while more than the records at that period. Now we get into Iron Man. Iron Man's killer on here. But I still, to this day, and I think I said that when I was talking about the first album on a video here, I think the opening, I Am Iron Man, is the cheesiest thing on here. I just think it's cheesy. Oh, going back to Planet Caravan, I do one thing. I like the vocal that Ozzy does. Recall, I think I read it in here or somewhere, that he recorded it through a fast Leslie speaker, and it has that effect, and it's so cool. I like that period of time when bands were using speakers to record it and going through speakers and making vocal. We didn't have plugins. We didn't have all this effects then. Them. In the same way, you could do things after that, and that was the brilliance of this stuff when everything's done analog, and you didn't know exactly what you're going to get instead of just pushing a button now and any wanker can make a record. But I love that on that. But I like Iron Man. I like the song. It's a killer song on here. And it again, I'm not going to get in all the technical side, but this is a successful record. I love side one of this record much more than side two. And I do like side two. Electric Funeral's a great, again, great dynamics, great kind of tightness to that, great rockin' thing. The only song I don't like on this album is Hand of Doom. I just think it's kind of pedestrian for my taste. Bluesy rock, nothing special, no great melody to it, no great hooks. So every time that I play that on this album, historically, it kind of goes through. I don't really concentrate on it. It passes me by quickly. But they get into Rat Salad. Rat Salad is one of those things. It's an instrumental. Drum solo, I'm not always a drum solo fan, but it's short enough, and it's the band, the interchange there with the guitar and band, I love it, and it's tight, it's great drums, quick and out. Very few drum solos I like obviously on Abbey Road, Ringo's on side two, and I like Toad by Cream with Ginger Baker. That's it. Everything else in rock and roll, drum solos, out the window for Mazzy. I don't like it. And then, of course, Fairy Wears Boots. What was the name of that song? It was called something else on the American. I think it had a hyphenate, something Strippers. I'm blanking out, but I vaguely remember something Strippers, Fairies Wear Boots. Ozzy has no recollection what that song's about, apparently. I read it somewhere. But some people say it was skinheads making fun of the long hairs, calling them fairies and stuff. Who knows? Who cares? But it's a great song, and it's it kind of just gets into this, like, it's not psychedelic, but it's just heavier than everything else. And I've read stories over the years that really they pattern themselves. One band after Cream, and Cream was, especially on Wheels of Fire in '68, there's a heaviness to those songs with that, and just a trio. Now they're a trio too with one singer. Obviously, Cream had the two singers, plus the drummer, who occasionally would press rat and warthog his way through things. But what a tight, loud band they were, especially again, those jams on Wheel of Fire. And that's the heaviness that they kind of emulated at the time. Of course, Led Zeppelin, actually, too. But this is a real successful Rhino hi-fi. I did not order this time the other companion release this time, the hit breakout thing for Alice Cooper. And I do like that record. I have a Rhino one from, I don't know, in the last 2017, 18, whatever it was, and it sounds really good. And I just, for me, figured as much as I play the record, I don't need another copy. I'm trying to scale back on my duplicates. But, I mean, what a great record. And now I think in this case, I don't need to keep this anymore. So I'll be like moving this one on because this is a killer version. Very successful. You've done a great job, Rhino, Patrick Milligan and company, and look forward to more of these. Now, I'm still a fan of the stuff that maybe is not as popular. I love the Graham Parsons, so go buy that Graham Parsons Grievous Angel. And I did a video recently about Randy Newman. As much as I like Good Old Boys, I did make one mistake in that Good Old Boys video. That reissue with the second demo was all analog by Jay Powell. I thought it was digital. I stand corrected. I still would love Sail Away. Sail Away is Randy Newman's masterpiece. I would love a Rhino high fidelity of Sail Away. It's one of the brilliant albums ever made. It's beautiful. It might not sell as well. I'm sorry, but that is an important album and it deserves to be a Rhino high fidelity. I know the team over there loves that record, right? I think we discussed that. But, you know, you people that are just buying these Black Sabbath records, expand your mind. Randy Newman, Sail Away. Anyway, thanks for watching, and there you go. Paranoid. Mazzy loves you. Take care.
This just showed up this morning at my doorstep, so I had to spin that. The Rhino High Fidelity.
Did you see what number you were? Oh, the
I'm
numbers
like,
behind.
Yeah, 3,300 and something.
Okay.
So high number.
Did you listen to it?
Yes, I did.
And do you have an original?
I have a white label promo of this. Yeah.
Did you compare it or anything?
I haven't yet. No.
And how did you like this?
I thought it sounded great. I have the first one that Rhino put out, the self-titled.
Okay.
Which is great in this one.
Now, do you buy many audiophile type records? And is that a thing for you, or?
I wouldn't call myself an audiophile, but I do buy audiophile records. Like, I notice and appreciate the difference, but I don't think I have like a trained ear to. I'm not like Mike from the In-Groove or anything, but yes, I do.
Thank goodness.
But I do buy audiophile records, like Tone Poets. They're great.
I'm not Mike from the In-Groove either.